All right, it's the Gemini last quarter moon right now, and we're closing out this moon cycle, closing out the Leo season, moving into Virgo season right now, and appropriate messaging to go along with moving from a fire sign to an earth sign. Number one, this brown card where it says below ground thyself, and then we've got the Daughter of Pentacles, otherwise known as the Page of Pentacles, and the frog energy. So I'm going to start with the brown card, the Ground Thyself card. And these brown cards speak to the earth, obviously, ground thyself, but really focusing in on how do we stay grounded. There's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot of atrocity. There's a lot of reasons why it's hard to stay grounded. I can't not think about the Amazon right now, and constantly, and all indigenous people that are just consistently trampled upon. And if you go back far enough, every person, it has indigenous lineage and more than likely colonizer lineage, because we live in a globalized society at this point, and we're all connected. And again, as I know I've brought this up before, is that grounding energy amidst the connectivity of all of us. Like, if the world is globalizing right now, and we have, because of internet, because of a lot of things, we have more access to knowledge of what's going on with other people, and we're seeing it in the news cycles, and we're being fed, particularly, I don't know, I think most people who are looking at this story are going to be in America, and so particularly in our news cycle, it's specifically tailored to keep us afraid and feeling disempowered, and or not telling us about things until they've been going so long that, like, there's little that we can do, such as the Amazon being on fire for several weeks before most people that I know of even heard about it. And it's because our country doesn't want us to be proactive in caring for each other, and caring for indigenous people, and caring for colonized places, and caring about fascist regimes. We're ruled by a fascist regime ourselves. And so amidst all of that, it's really hard. I don't know, maybe not for y'all, but definitely for me, staying grounded with all my fire and air, no, it's very hard. So ground thyself is like, what do you need to do in order to get grounded? Maybe you just put your feet in the dirt, put your feet in some water, do some kind of a ritual. Anywhere that you are, even if you're in the biggest city of cities, you can find a way. You can put your hand on a tree. You can do anything that keeps you grounded. I feel very grateful that I have all my plants around me, and I'm able to stay grounded with them, and with my snake, and with my dog. There's a lot of things that I have that kind of keep me tethered, and then remembering to take care of my body is also another thing that has been difficult, but getting on it. I'm ready to take care of myself, even if I'm depressed and slowing down and having a hard time getting out of bed, which is rare for me. Still, the necessity is get up, wash your face, brush your teeth, take a shower, do what you need to do to take care of yourself right now, and be grounded as much as possible, because something tells me things aren't going to get better anytime soon. It's going to be a fight. So the more grounded we are, the better we'll be able to show up for that fight. And then a reiteration of that message is the Daughter of Pentacles. So Pentacles being the earth element, the daughter or the page, kind of symbolizing this place in the journey of learning how to do things. Like, if you notice, it's it's a fawn here. It's not a full grown deer. It's like a teenage deer that's learning how to find the plants that are medicinal for it, learning how to get its food, learning how to run, you know, all of the things that we have to learn how to do. So the Pentacles being the earth sign, it's asking us to really lean into the practices and figuring out what is going to hold us down. Like, what is it that, because grounding exercises could look 100% different to every person that you talk to, depending on who you talk to, you know? There are commonalities, and there's lots of tools that we can use, and some people like to utilize different things. As always, I'm always going to champion meditation and taking care of yourself in that way, and grounding yourself to the ground and also with spirit. Sorry, my snake is like trying desperately to get out of the tank right now. Relax, you just ate, you need to digest. Anyways, so yeah, Daughter of Pentacles is asking us to stay grounded, to figure out what practices work best for us, and to focus on them and practice them. Just because you know what practice is good for you doesn't mean that you're actually doing it. So this card is asking you to put in the legwork to do that. First of all, you got to figure out what it is, then you've got to actually do it. And this last card is the Frog card, and so that's a water card, so we're talking emotional energy, but it's also an animal that lives, it can live in the water, it can live in, and it does in different stages of its life. It can live in dry climates sometimes if they're specially adapted to it, but mostly I think that frogs tend to be water creatures and land creatures. So this is talking about the dynamics between being grounded in our physicality and being grounded in our emotionality. And also an interesting fact about frogs is, when I did research on the animals, was that in Japan, frogs are called karu. I might be pronouncing that wrong, apologies. But from what I understand, the translation for that word is return. So the mythology, the symbolism around frogs is the return, like returning home safely, having your things returned to you, or making sure that things don't leave you in the first place. So drawing on that energy of like, what energy needs to return to you, what emotional energy maybe have you put out there, and whether it's been returned or not, how can you return your energy to yourself, and how can you call that back ritually, physically, emotionally? Just think about that. And also think about transitions, because frogs, you know, they go from the tadpole, and then they sprout the legs, and then they hop on the land, and they hop in and out of the water. So these animals are really about transitioning and fluid transition. How can you transition through this moment in your life and stay grounded, again, emotionality and your physicality? And then the last thing that I want to talk about with frogs is this permeability of their skin. Like, I think that this is true across the board of frogs, mostly probably the ones that live in water habitats. But they have super permeable skin, so they're very open to whatever is happening in their environment. And so when you notice frogs in an environment, you know that that environment is fairly healthy, because frogs can't exist in a super toxic scenario. So this is really being attentive to your environment around you, and if you're feeling good and feeling supported and feeling held and safe and loved in your environment, or if there's toxicity in your environment. And I mean toxicity on the level of even energetic. And I know that that's kind of a concept that is hard to quantify in our physical reality that we know it in this way, but energetics are playing, and if you were quiet enough and if you were grounded enough, then you would be able to listen to the messages, and the messages are usually coming through your heart chakra. This is your electromagnetic center of your body. It's telling you what feels good and what doesn't feel good. And so if the more in tune you are with your body, the more in tune you can be with your environment and understanding what feels good to you and what doesn't feel good to you. So really understand that right now we're kind of raw and vulnerable in some ways, and it's a necessity to contain our energy, protect our energy, be a witness to the environment that we're in, and to return to ourselves, to constantly remind ourselves to return to ourselves. And I think that's good for this week. So I'll see you at that new moon.